Hello. So sorry I couldn't do this session live today, and you could ask questions but in the past, most people never showed up to my tutorials live, but there was very high traffic on the recording. So hopefully this recording will work for you. Hide my controls here. Always got to start with a picture of Dora. This is Dora yesterday. We were at a place called Regatta Point, which is near the Armdale roundabout at the end of the Northwest Arm. You can see in the very, very far distance, I think this bump here is the Loyola High Rise. So we're quite a ways away from it. Anyway, let's get started and find the assignment here. Here we go. So before we get going, a few instructions about how I want the assignment submitted. That I want you to write your answers or paste your answers directly into the assignment. So we can see the question, what your answer is, question, answer, question, answer. That it makes it actually a lot easier for us to grade. And since it's all electronic, it's not like there's tons of paper you're printing off or anything like that. It's also a good record for you because you'll see your answer and the question together at all times. You'll link the two of them. We ask that you submit it as a PDF file, and that in the past, some students didn't know how to make it into a PDF. They didn't have a scanner, they said, or something like that. You don't need a scanner. That what you can do is one of two ways. You can do it as a save as. So you go to File, you go to Save As, you find a place where you're going to save it, and that when it says down here, the type of file, instead of a Word file, click on that down arrow, you can save it as a PDF. So that's one way of doing it. An alternate way is instead of saving, go to Print. And for your printer that you've got, if you go down, you should see in your list Microsoft Print to PDF or something similar to that. And that will actually just create a PDF file for you. So there are a bunch of different ways we can do this. And as to how do you do the pictures and paste them in, I'll cover that. So let me get these controls drive me nuts, get them out of my way. So let's see what I'm asking you to do here. So this is, you should go through and look at the survey, particularly the word answers that you've given, and see what people have feared. What was the best thing about the fall? What was the worst thing about the fall for students this year versus previous years? And it's been changing because the pandemic has changed things. That you aren't having to do this online, although some of you are online. That anyway, as we get into this, we're just doing some prep work in this assignment. I ask you a few things to get us started. Generally, when we're doing a study, we've got a group we want to study or we want to talk about and generalize about. But that isn't necessarily what we have data on. We have data on maybe a different group. In this one, our objective is to develop a marketing plan. So for recruiting students into the commerce program. So describe who that population is that we're pursuing. Then in part B, you're going to say, well, okay, the survey that was done the last 4 years, the winter term, Management Science 1206 required course, most students do in the winter. We had lots of you participate in the survey. But nonetheless, can you see gaps between who was asked, who did, whatever, who's in the survey, and who it is you want to talk about? And I want your thoughts on that. There aren't perfect right or wrong answers to this. Some answers are better than others. But do you see any reservations you've got? Every time when we're looking at a survey to describe a population, there's always a bit of a gap. Hopefully it's not serious. I'd like your thoughts on what you think is the gap, and maybe if you think it's serious. The survey had about 60 questions in it, I think, in total, and we don't want to use that many. You should, if you're doing a good marketing plan, you'll use all the data you've got. But for an assignment, let's keep it small. So I'm asking you to just use a subset. And so I've just picked a bunch of different things here. And so I've asked a bunch of demographic things about expectations as to whether or not the fall was different from what you expected, whether or not we met your expectations, and so on down. And so we're going to grab those and put them into a new sheet. We're going to rename the columns. This is what the sheet will look like. I'll show you how do you do some of that. Give them new names instead of Q1, Q2, Q3, and make it into a table and then take a picture of it. So how do you do that? So let's go over here to our data. And I want several columns, quite a few, and I can't remember exactly which one. So if you put your cursor over the A, goes to a down arrow. And so if you hold down your control key, you click that one. And I want which class you're in, what quartile you're in. Talk about that in assignment 2. I think I want your gender, where you were at school before, where your home is, grade point average, and your high school average. Let me take those. So I'm going to copy. If I try to copy too many things at once, it doesn't like it. Get out of my way. So let's do this again. Oops. Every time I hit escape, it shows these darn controls. Okay. So let me do this again. You take that one, that one, that one, and I'll do them just a small group at a time. I'll copy them. I'm going to create a new sheet where the plus sign is down here. And paste it in. Make this bigger so we can see our results. Go back. So I said we wanted gender, we wanted previous, we wanted your home. Copy those. I'm not going to copy all of them because I can't remember them all. I know all of the ones that went Q. Oh, just a minute. Q1. To move my face. Let's take those ones. And pick just a few more because there are a couple we're going to have other questions that use. There are ones about expectations. I think this one is about cost. And there's stuff about study time and so on. I'll take this one. Okay. And what else did I use? There were ones about working, I think, that are in your assignment. And I think we use those two. So anyway, I should be copying every one that I said in the assignment we're supposed to be using, but let's keep this video short. So I've copied them over. That it suggested I give them new names that are simpler. Okay, so these names here. So let's see, let's go. You can just type over them. There's gender, previous, home. These ones are easy. This was grade point average. This was high school average. I think this was number of applications and first choice, but this is the one I want because I think that's in the assignment. This is working, and this is hours work. Okay, so those are a bunch of them, and there are others. Now, you have to make it into a table. Watch it here. Click on one cell, just one. go to Insert, okay? Go to Table and click that. And see the dotted line? It's just around where I've got data. And if you can see down here, it says it's from A1 to M1146. That's the bottom row that there's data in. Click OK. Now, what some students do is they go and they click here and they click everything. They go up to Insert and Insert Table. And so that means they're making a table out of every column, every row of the spreadsheet. That will overload your computer. You won't be able to do tasks, or your computer will freeze on you. And it's because the table's too big. So don't do that. Pick on just one cell, okay? All right. We asked you to take a picture of this. If you've got a Windows machine, press down the Windows key, your Shift key, and an S. Screen goes dark. Get a little cross. Take the little cross, hold down your left mouse button, drag it across, grab a bunch of columns and a bunch of rows, and then let go. It's now copied it to the clipboard. So I can go back to the assignment, and it said put a screenshot in here. So I'm going to just paste this in. Boom, there's my answer. It's just given me that bit I've snipped out. It's called a snipping tool. Don't take print screen or something and take a full screenshot, because there's tons of stuff on your screen that we don't care about. And it'll be too small for us to actually read and see what you've got there. In addition, it's going to capture things that we probably shouldn't be seeing that might be on your screen. And even if you crop it, you use the crop tool, if you know what I mean, and carve stuff off, all that does is it hides the pieces that you've cropped out. It doesn't delete them, okay? So that I can go and click on that image, and I can go and recreate everything that was on that sheet. So don't do it that way. Now, I also want you to make up a dictionary. So you're going to take the various questions we've got there that we were using, and I want you to put in the new names and put all of that into a sheet. So let me go back here. So back here with my original data, my question list. Let me make this bigger so we can see it on screen. So I grabbed several of these things. I grabbed these guys. Let me grab a whole bunch. Copy them. I'm going to make another new sheet. Paste it in. Make that bigger so you can see. Oh, I didn't want question 1 and question 2, so I'll just go and delete these 2 rows. Let me delete that guy. Let me delete this guy. Oh, my computer keeps freezing on me today. And we've got a bunch down here the same way. There we go. Paste those in, and so on down. Insert a new column here. So go to column B, right click, go insert, gives me new column in here. Down here, Q3 is gender. Those were our new names. This was previous. This one is called home. This one is GPA, and so on down. Give it new names. And take a picture of this and put it in your assignment. So I hold down the Windows key, the Shift key, the S key. I go and I copy this stuff. Now, I don't have to copy everything, but it's enough to show us that you've done it. And then I go back to the assignment and I paste it in. Now, before I go further, I didn't do one thing that I won't be able to check on your assignment anyway, because you're not submitting the Excel file. You're just submitting a PDF of your assignment. I've got a sheet 1, sheet 2. I may create more sheets, so I can lose track. What are they? This one was my dictionary. So go and rename it A1 dictionary. And sheet 1, so I press down, I right click, I go to rename, and I'll call this assignment 1. Okay. So now it makes it easier to keep track of things. Sometimes you've got 20 different sheets that you may be working with. And if you haven't named them, it's hard to figure out what's what, especially when you've got several that may look very similar. So what else do we need to do here? So I've done those bits. Okay, so when the survey was first done, when we had questions about expectations, we gave students the option of saying much less, somewhat less, about what I expected, somewhat more, or much more. 5 choices that the system I use called Qualtrics evaluates the survey and gives suggestions on how to make it better. And they said too many choices, that students have to think harder when you to rate things on a scale of 5 choices. Give them fewer choices. So I reduced it to 3. Trouble is, I've got 2 surveys where they have 5 choices, and now I've got 2 surveys that they only have 3. How do I merge all the data? Well, I'm going to take all the ones that said less or much less or somewhat less and make that less. And all the ones that said more, somewhat more, much more, I'm going to make them say more. So they all say the same thing. And I'll create a new variable. All right, how do we do that? So I've got to create a new variable. I'm going to call expected cost. Okay, let me just go and do that. Back here. So I'm going to take this column. I'm going to right click. I'm going to insert a new column. I'm going to call the new column expected cost. Okay. And now I'm going to put the new values in there. The new values, though, I'm going to have to use a lookup table. So I need a lookup table. I don't have one of those. Let me just create a new space for a lookup table. Okay. And let me go back to the assignment. I'm going to cheat on this. So here's before and after. I'm going to take the whole table. This is the quick way to cheat. Copy it. Go back to your spreadsheet. Paste it. Okay. You can clean it up if you want. Get rid of the word wrap. Get rid of all these borders. Clean it up. Make it look like you actually typed all this stuff in. Okay. Here's before. Here's after. Okay. So with a lookup table, what your before stuff has to be in the first column, after has to be in the second, third, or fourth, or whatever. First column, though, has to be the before column. You may even want to, whoops, remind, oh, excuse me. What did I do here? I think I did something wrong. Yeah. Let me just, to remind myself, this is before. Okay, this is after. And so you're going to use several lookup tables. So you should always be thinking, though, that the before column is column 1. Let's go back to my assignment here. So to change it, all I have to do is put in =, VLOOKUP. Here, it's already guessed what I want. The before value is in column L, row 2. Type in L2. Okay. I'm going to change things, and that's in my lookup table. So let's go over to that where it is. I don't need before and after, but you could grab it. Doesn't make any difference. So this is what I want here. I've got to lock these. My laptop is such that the function keys are always doing funny things to me. I need a new computer. I need to put $signs around this because Excel, if you're familiar with it, if you go and copy a formula to a new place, it acts like everything is moving to a different place. It changes everything around. If you want something to stay in one location all the time, you have to put in $signs to lock it in. So I've locked in this table as being in from A to down to B8. Okay. Now I'm going to put a comma here. The new value, so the before value is always in the first column. The after value can be in second, third, fourth. You could have many different columns in a lookup table. Mine is going to be in column 2. And I need to tell it, is it an approximate match or an exact one? This is an exact match. I want to match them perfectly. Put that in there, that, and if we're lucky, everything works. There, let me just check, make sure it worked. Make those columns wider, you can see. So about what I expected, fits there. Here's somewhat more. It's now more. About. They're fine. Much less is now less. Somewhat more is now more. Everything seems to be working. Good. So I want you to take a picture of this. So Windows key, Shift key, S. And I don't need everything over there on the left. I just want you to show me before and after. So I need the expect cost column and the old one, expect cost 2. So just several rows of that. Copy that, put it in your assignment. Now, you've got to do it for expected cost and expected study. Okay. Now, another one I want you to change is hours working per week. And that should give us, instead of looking at the actual numbers people have, let's put them into different categories. So they're different values. And that we can also do in a lookup table. So I'm just going to grab this. Okay. But I can't steal it the same way I did last time. Now, where's my lookup table? It's in sheet 3, but I didn't call it, give it a name. Okay. Bad. Let's not wrap that text. Let me just make these columns wider so I can see what's there. What's it done? Done all kinds of things to me. Let me just make sure I call this lookup so I know what it is. It did some of these things. Look at these ones. It's changed them into dates. It did all kinds of strange things. And if you look here, if I click on this cell that's strange, it says custom. No, it's not custom, it's general. Now it's giving me garbage. And this one here, custom. No, it's just general. What have I got here? All right. This was just a heading. So the first group started at 0, right? Or it was blank. The next one went from 1 to 8 hours, I think. So it started at 1, not 1 to 8. Okay, it's just putting a 1. This one, I think, started at 9. Let me check. Yeah, started at 9. This looks okay, 20 to 32, but Excel won't like that in a lookup formula because it looks for a number, one number, not a range of numbers. It wants the first number in the group. That's 20. This one wants just the first number in the group. That's 33. That's it. Okay. Now you can put in your lookup formula. So with this one, I could go over here. I'm going to insert a column and I'm going to call this, what did I call it? Work group. Just give it a new name. It's a lookup formula equals VLOOKUP. Okay. I'm going to take column O, row 2. I've got a lookup table. It's here. Okay. Don't include this headings up here. Okay. Once again, I need to make sure there are dollar signs around this. So if you're making a formula like this, and when you paste it in, it gets the first one right, and then it messes up everything below, more than likely, you've got the wrong location. Also, don't just type in it's from D3 to E7, because what sheet is it in? It's in the lookup sheet. So notice it says there, it's in a different sheet. from where my other data is. New value is in column 2. And in this one, I'm going to use an approximate match because I want to not just match up a 1 with part-time. I also want 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 with part-time. So an exact match would only pick only those exact values in the left column. So let's see if I did it right. Whoopee, did it right. Notice, took a blank, made it not working because 0, it thinks is the same as a blank, or it thinks a blank is 0. 12 is half-time, 5 is part-time, 25, that's full-time, 35, I think we said 33 and above is excess beyond full-time. Okay. Anyway, just pick them arbitrarily as groups. So all of that worked. Take a picture of that, paste it in your assignment. So we're doing fine here. Okay. Should be going okay. Here are a few things I want you to do when filtering. See if you can do filters right. So we've got a number of students that said about their working status, and they told me about their hours worked. This says filter to have only students reporting they were not working. For that, okay? And so they might have been looking for work. They might not have been working for work, but they're not working right now. And I want to know hours per week greater than or equal to 1. Okay? Well, they're not working, so it shouldn't be greater than or equal to 1. We shouldn't have anybody. Let's see what happens. So, working. Here are all the different choices. I don't want the blanks. I don't care about them. Or you can throw it in, I guess. But I just want the ones that are working. The blanks, maybe I'll leave them out. So these are the ones that said for sure they're working on campus, off campus, or both, right? You'll see I am working, I am working, I am working. Everybody says I am working, okay? Oops, no, I want the ones that aren't saying that. Excuse me. So I am not, I'm not. Okay, I'm not working, I'm not working, I'm not working, I'm not working, and so on. And as you can see, they're blanks, there's zeros over here. There's no hours for work. Okay. Let's say hours for work, number filter. I want greater than or equal to 1. Okay, but there isn't anybody, right? You're wrong. Look at all these numbers. Take a picture with some of these numbers in it. So I'm going to take a picture that's got at least this stuff in it. You don't have to go down too far. That's more than enough. Paste it in your assignment. Something's wrong here. Okay, so yep. And let's do something else. Let's the ones that have said how many hours, and they told us 0. So like we had before, we saw a couple of zeros and they said they're not working. That let's go and just look at those that say they are working. So go back, clear the filter. Okay, on this one, let's clear the filter. Okay, so here hours that they're working, we want just to be 0. So you could use the number filter and say equal to 0, or you could just click 0. Okay, and yeah, they're not working. They're not working. They're not working. Right? Okay. Let's go and click get rid of the not working. And boom, we got 3 students that are working off campus. Take a picture of that, put it in your assignment. What do you think's going on? What should you do with that data? What do you suggest? Should we include it? Maybe even if we're not looking at working, but their answers to other questions, do you think we should include those? It's your opinion, and it's just an opinion. Okay. Let's go back here, take our filters off. Okay, clear the filter. Clear this filter. Okay, so I've got all my data again. And I'm going to want you to go up here to design and go and add a total row. Okay, so I've got a total row down here at the bottom. I don't know what this is. It's a subtotal of hours work. I guess someone gave me fractional hours or something. Whatever. What is it that I'm asking you for now? How many told us about working? So here's the column working. Go to the bottom where it's blank. Just give me a count. Oh, 1,091 told me if they were working or not. The others were all blanks. Good. Okay. Do the same for those that were not working and not looking for work. How many said that? How many said they were working at least 8 hours this term? So, oh, okay. So these ones I'm looking for a slight change. This one I'm going to have to filter. Okay. I wanted the one saying, no, I'm not doing anything. And what answer do I get? Okay. That this one I'm asking that, what was it? At least 8 hours. So go to your number filter and have greater than or equal to 8 hours. Is that what it said? At least 8 hours. Okay. That go to look at reasons, look at living, and so on. And some of them you're going to have to look at most important reason being location as to why they picked St. Mary's, and at the same time select how many were living at home. What's your count going to be for that? Let's look at some averages. What's the average grade point average? What's the minimum grade point average? The maximum grade point average? So let me make sure I get rid of my filters. Do I have any on? I don't see any. Okay. So with grade point average, go down here. What's the average? 3.26. Okay. It asked us to look at minimum and maximum. Well, what's the minimum? 0. Okay. What's the maximum? 4.3. So we didn't get anybody putting in crazy numbers like we've had with previous surveys. The one in the fall, we had one time someone put in 15, I think, for the grade point average. I think they meant 1.5. I fixed that. In your survey, behind the scenes, there's rules that say you're not allowed putting in a negative number and you can't give me a number that's bigger than 4.3. So we can control for some of these errors sometimes by putting restrictions on what numbers you can enter or words or that type of thing. That I want ones that I want to exclude grade point average less than 0.3. That should be easy. We're doing something like that already. Then I've asked you to do a whole bunch of filters that those that were in the class of 2020, that were male, they had a home outside Canada. Doesn't say we have to exclude those below 0.3. Okay. Basically, there are a few that said 0. But again, go and find it. So I just want to test you on whether or not you're using filters properly. Okay. Get rid of all the filters, and I want you to build a histogram. And I want you to do one on grade point average. This sometimes works, it sometimes doesn't. Okay. So you're going to have to go to data. You're going to go over to data analysis. If you don't have it, you're going to have to install it. And we've gone through how to install things. And I want a histogram. Click OK. It wants the input range and the bin range. Oops, I haven't got a bin range. What sort of bin range do I need? Go back here. It wants us to have bins of 0.5 going from 0 to 4.5. Okay. Now, how do I build bins? If you remember correctly, bins are sort of like making lookup tables, but they're different. So here I'm looking at GPA. Okay. And like with an approximate match where I just need to give one end value, that you might think, oh, I could go 0, 0.5, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4. And I guess that's all you need to do is but that's the bottom end of each range. Okay, that's the way we did it with lookup table, was the beginning. With this though, no, we want the last value in each group. So you don't want to have 0 as one of your groups. It's actually going to isolate all the zeros in the group by themselves. It's going to stand out as an answer. We want to give it with bin ranges, we pick the last guy. So the first group ends with 0.5. The last group, where does it end? You can use 4.3 if you want, or you could put 4.5. I asked you to end at 4.5. So now I can go back and go to data analysis, go to histogram. Where's my data? It's in this GPA column. Okay. And thankfully it's stopping. Look at my dots. It's ending at 1146. It's not including 1147. Okay. It's starting at G2. It's not including the label. I'm going to make it include the label and see what happens. Okay. And the bin range, okay, is over here in my lookup thing. All right. Now with labels, I included it for GPA or the actual values, and I've included it for the bins. So I've got it in both. If you don't include it, if you include it in one, you have to include it in the other one. Okay. It gets confused if you don't. I'll put it in a new sheet and I want chart output. Let's see if it works. Went crazy. Look at it. Those aren't my bins. It sometimes does this to me. And so I've warned you in the assignment on doing it. Let me try doing it one more time. See if I can get it to behave properly. Let's do it again. Do the histogram. This time I'm going to get rid of row 1. And for the bin range again. Oops. What did it do? Oh, just a second here. There we are. So it's in row 2. And this one, I'm going to go back over to my lookup. I'm going to take just these values. Okay, I'm going to say there's no labels. And I still want chart output. Let's see if it works. No, it still gave me crazy numbers. It did it. It's done. Same spreadsheet. It's done it different ways, different times. If it's doing that to you and it's not working properly, then there is another way, but it won't give me a frequency distribution. Go and take this column. Okay. So take column G with the GPA. Go up to, excuse me, go to insert. Okay. We're going to put in a chart. And you could go to recommended charts, and go to all charts and pick histogram. Okay. And you could have also clicked on this guy up here and that would have given me histograms. But this is the histogram tool. And there's a histogram for me. Unfortunately, it made up different bins than I wanted. So there I could go and change it. Click on the axis here. Okay. Right click on it. Go to format axis. And here it said automatic. I don't want automatic. I want to make up my bins. I'm going to have a bin width of 0.5. Okay. And here I've sort of got what I wanted before. And this will give me that histogram chart. It sort of looks like this is what you should get in your assignment. Unfortunately, I don't get a frequency distribution as well. I just get the chart. That it's clumsy. And then copy this guy. Warn you about copying. With charts, you can just go and click on the chart, copy it, and paste it in. But if you change your spreadsheet, it'll change it in your Word file. It's dangerous. So I do the same thing again. I use my snipping tool and I take a picture of it. Okay? So if I change my spreadsheet, change my chart, it will still stay the same. So here was the crazy one. So here's the new one. I'll put it in here. I want you to describe the shape. And then I do one last thing, and hopefully it works and Excel doesn't get mad at me. I've asked you to go again, data analysis. Don't forget to comment on the shape of this thing. And I want you to go to descriptive statistics. Okay, again, it asks, where's the input range? Well, I'm looking at grade point average. That's in column G1 to G1146. Okay, I've got labels. I'll put it in a new worksheet. I want summary statistics, and hopefully this works. And it did work. Sometimes it gets mad at me and says I have non-numeric data, and it yells at me. But this time it worked. See, there's the average that I had before. Average GPA was 3.26, so it got that right. Counted 1,044 values. We had 1,145 values to start with. There were a bunch of blanks. And I think we had minimum and maximum, and I didn't have you calculate anything else. Copy this, paste it in your spreadsheet. You're all done. Assignment's over. If you've got questions, email me. If you're in my class, your own instructor, hopefully, if they're their class, hopefully they'll get back to you quickly. If you have, in all else fails, you can email me. If it is an Excel problem, like it's giving you, like with the histogram, when it's giving these great, crazy things, and you don't know how to fix it, send the whole spreadsheet. Or very often VLOOKUP isn't working because you've made a typo somewhere. Send the whole spreadsheet to your instructor. Don't send the screenshot where it's, hey, this doesn't look right. Okay. Anyway, good luck. I hope this works for you. You take care. Let me get my controls back, and I'm going to stop recording.